nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the committee may do so for up to 3 minutes. All right, seeing none. Here to present our first item this morning is Mr. Eric Hackman. And I've seen him walk in the door. Morning, sir. Well, it's a committee of the whole meeting, so we're a little less formal. The specific request is to review and discuss the Tower Pinkster Community Forum report with Eric Hackman. So we don't really have anything to vote on. We're just having a discussion with Eric.
So you should have received the letter that I published last week. We estimated between 100 and 120 people attended on the 4th, and we received exactly 122 comments / questions. In the package that I sent you, you'll have a PDF form that just outlined each question with a number next to it. But I also provided to Michael a file. This is in an Excel sheet. And what we tried to do is use keywords against each item to create a way to sort these items through. And in the summary, I identified that we classified 84 of them as questions and 38 of them as comments, all of which I think are good feedback to absorb. We then tried to separate how many of them were directly related to the jail and sheriff's office, and how many were directly related to the COA. Sometimes they were to both. So if you try to do the math in the summary of numbers, it doesn't make a lot of sense because one comment may have multiple keywords attached to it. But this is some high-level understanding of the concept. There were 27 comments or questions that I think were directed more towards your body, governing body, that I think are worth looking at and trying to address from your position. 18 were related to just the cost. How much will it cost? Where is the funding going to come from? Kind of questions. And then on top of it, there were 12 questions related to demographics. Those demographic questions ranged from the COA portion, but also I think some of them lapped over onto the sheriff's office. Architects, we're not demographers. And I would recommend, our recommendation would be to hire the services of a demographer to help us understand the nuances of the demography, the demographic makeup of Perry County. We do this a lot with schools. There are services that provide demographic reports for schools. They can project their enrollment. And the same thing can be done for the county stuff, so you can see where all the people are. Or another option would be for us to take on that effort and just use the information that's available online and through the agencies that identify demographic information. But by no means are we experts to be able to review and analyze it. So our recommendation would be to get somebody to help provide that service. And then the last item in the summary is there were 11 comments related to location that I think we can address. As I stated in the community forum, the idea was for them to give us homework, and I think that they've done that. And so we have started assimilating answers to the questions that I think are appropriate for our answers. And what you'll see in the Excel spreadsheet, I think there are some questions
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions for Eric today?
When we first talked with you, did you have not the experience to know that we would need demographics ahead of time?
It was stated in our proposal that it's something that we could offer as well.
Okay, all right. So automatically you felt that we're gonna need it regardless then? What changed, or what,
I'm not sure I understand.
what brought on that possibility of having to use demographics on something like this? Are you looking at it as we go throughout the whole county and have meetings with other public, that we're going to be able to develop those demographics better, or are we going to do it on basis of just the one meeting, or?
I think the demographic study would be, there's plenty of demographic information out there that can be gathered and then analyzed to give you a projection of where the population of Berry County is going, which would then answer, I think, many of the questions you've received in the community forum related to, well, how do you know this? How does the demographics impact our decision making? And I think that just gives you evidence to support the decision that you make in the future.
Like how many baby boomers will be needing COA services, or what do you?
It can make those kind of projections. It can also make projections as to how many new families are moving into the area. All of that demographic information can have an impact on the way you make policy.
Okay.
So December 10th is on your board update, or is that what you're giving us today? On your timeline, it says board update, December 10th. Is that,
That's today.
that's today,
That's
okay.
today. I'm giving you an update on where we stand today.
Okay.
Our next step is to begin developing options. And I'll meet with the sheriff and the COA office and begin laying out those different options. Intuitively, we already sort of gone down that path. We did the master plan. I know the COA did some work when they went after the initial bond. They had a plan. What we want to do is create different sizes, different cost variables to each of those. So there may be 3 to 4 different options related to each, with macro budgets to help the community understand the cost of meeting either of these two needs.
Yes, sir, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, correct. We are in the, basically coming back to you with information related to the first forum. So our initial plan was to have the second session prior to the end of the year. And considering the holidays, I don't know if that's an appropriate way to approach this.
So this isn't the December 10th one?
Correct, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't
We're
have
on number 5 then?
Correct, we are number
Okay.
5. I think it's appropriate to push the community forum dialogue to right at the first of the year
Okay.
to avoid the holidays.
I did have a comment from a person that sits on another committee that I sit on, and they said they wondered about the thought process of having this meeting and people asking so many questions. How can they tell you what they think we should have because they're uneducated about what the needs are? So I said, well, but I said it's kind of a, if we had gone with a plan and everything, then we'd have said there could have been the reaction of, well, you already know what you want to do, why don't you just go ahead and do it? So I mean, I know it's a catch-22, but that was just one of the comments that I had. So,
The success that I thought the community forum generated is that it felt as though that there was a lot of conversation in the room. And I don't know if you've got any feedback from your constituents since. But hopefully this creates dialogue within the community so that there's awareness of the issue
That's what I said. I said there was a brief presentation on each of the buildings, so that made a
And
little bit more
I
sense.
think we've had several comments up here last week, both positive and negative about the meeting. I think there was a letter to the editor in last week's paper, that wasn't positive. But other than that, I don't think there's, I haven't had anybody reach out to me at home
No, I
or
have
even
not
an
either.
email, so I think they're still waiting to see what the process is gonna look like once we keep the ball moving.
I think, I've been, when I go to my meetings, I've been asking the governing body at the meetings, is there anything that you want to talk about? And part of it was that I think they were expecting like completely drawings of what it was going to be, and then so they could kind of pick it apart, so to speak, and tell you should put the bathroom over here or wherever, you know. So, but and that they had the impression that it was not real. There wasn't a targeted goal for it, so to speak. And I understand that it's brainstorming and all that with it right now. And I think one of the other comments I had is that they thought that there should have been more reasons why we need a new jail and reasons why we need a new COA. They needed to,
They wanted to see the blood and guts of what's going on.
yeah, they want to see the broken pipes and the things that, and the roof leaking and that type of thing too, so.
And I think attending township meetings this week, having some input from people, a few emails, but like Heather said, not a lot. I kind of echo Dan's sentiments that I think people were a little perplexed coming out of the meeting, because I think the anticipation was there was going to be more meat and potatoes versus what are your thoughts, or what, I mean, it was almost felt like it was the reverse, that we were trying to pull information from them. I think rushed was the word, because you're trying to talk both a COA and a jail in a condensed amount of time. Neither one got a tremendous amount of attention. Nothing got really pulled out into a lot of detail. So I think people left a little bit, like I said, perplexed about it. One gal at Rutland Township was angry. People are looking for more details as far as what, or options, or whatever the case is. So they were not overly impressed with how fast the meeting was and the limited amount of information. So I don't know what the answer to the question is as far as really going in and sitting down with the COA and with the jail staff, the law enforcement staff, and seeing what that vision is going forward to try to put something on there. We don't necessarily have to be on the bullseye, but maybe at least get on the range so we can see where we're heading with this, so people can have meaningful input to what the long-term plan for this is going to be. So, but I don't think it was a waste of time, because we did pull a lot of information out as far as creating some boundaries or some information. But I think going forward, maybe we need to allow more time, maybe a little more interaction. I know when you get into a quote-unquote public comment type session, which we did have some of, that you can turn from a 1 hour meeting to a 4 hour meeting in a hurry, so because a lot of people have thoughts and inputs when you're talking about taxes and millages and things. But just a lot of, like I said, perplexed was kind of the thing I came back, that maybe it wasn't advertised or presented in a fashion so people coming to the meeting knew what they were getting into. So I don't know if that's helpful, but
I think this is probably new a new concept for most of the community because the schools have helped, you know, here's the picture, here's what we're gonna do, we're gonna have a millage, and then they go out and sell the millage. Well, we started the other way and said, hey, what do you guys want in the community? And how do you think this will fit with what we've got going on?
And that's been the method that Power Booster uses for the schools. Typically don't go the previous method.
Right. And I appreciate it. I appreciate being able to look at the community to see what we have and take our time doing it rather than let's just get a millage and do jail. Because we all know how let's just go get the millage is going to work. Didn't work for Hastings schools. That's. Any other questions?
I had some people tell me that they would like to tour these facilities to see the condition that they're being spoken about.
I think the COA is probably a little easier to tour than the
Yeah.
jail, and I think
Yeah.
you're very limited on how many can go through the jail at a time. It's just a security thing. I think if there is a virtual tour of the jail, it'd probably be a lot better on security than having 100 people show up in a day and try to see what's going on. If that's something we can do, Sheriff.
There is a security issue, but there's also the issue that it's not a zoo and they could turn around and file a lawsuit because you're
Yep.
putting them on display. So I don't recommend that. If we could do a virtual one, I'd jump on that.
I totally agree with you. So if that's something that we can work on, just to have, I mean, it's nice to have in the archives anyways, but,
Show them the law enforcement side and the, where the pipes are rotting and all that stuff. We can show them that. If we get enough notice, we might be able to move some inmates from one area to another so you can see like the booking area. There's no max for females and all that. We could probably do something like that, but walk them through where the inmates are. Not gonna go like that.
no, it's not, it's a security nightmare. Any other questions for Eric? Thank you, sir.
I guess I'll work with Mike to set up,
Wonderful.
community forum, and back in front of you with a draft of that forum, show them the options. Prior to that, I'll meet with both the COA and sheriff to outline those different options. And I think David previously just talked about a list. Maybe that's another thing that we need to do is begin to identify these things as a list.
Right.
Another action that we're talking about doing in our office is to create, we already have it sort of started from 2014, which would be a cost index replacement, which we use with schools, is what it would cost to fix either of these facilities up to a new standard, and compare that to the cost of a new, and then we can begin to identify, you can go, well, what's the cost of replacement? Financially, it's another benchmark on whether or not it's ready to be changed. So those are the things that are in our task over the next couple of years.
I think some of us have lived through that recently. Cost of replacement over the cost of repair.
Yes.
So, yes, sir.
Are you planning geographically other forums?
That's been suggested, and I think that's something that Mike and I need to discuss, or you guys need to discuss. We can set up a couple different nights to do that. Welcome to those kind of get out the word kind of conversations.
I know some of our communities just don't have a place to hold a forum like that that would hold enough people. I think, like the high school in Delton's one thing, but I don't know. I don't even think Nashville's high school is in Berry County, so. I don't think that there's anything downtown that would hold that many people. I know the township halls don't, so. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
See you soon. Next on our agenda is Aaron Moore. The chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the 2020 agreement between Berry County and Michigan State University for access to MSU Extension programming.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gibson, second by Parker. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me? All right, well,
Is your little red button up? Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There you
Here we go. I can repeat that. I'm presenting the 2020 Agreement for Extension Services. So very briefly, it's the mission of MSU Extension to help people improve their lives through an educational process that applies knowledge to critical issues, needs, and opportunities. And MSU Extension meets this by providing programs in 4 different subject matter areas. Those are agriculture and agribusiness, children and youth development, including 4-H, health and nutrition, and community food and environment. So we, MSU Extension will provide access to all 4 of those program areas to residents in the county, as well as a 4-H program. And in turn, the county will provide space and clerical support, as well as the annual assessment. So that's really just the gist of the contract, but wanted to open it up for questions as well.
Any questions for Aaron?
Has the contract changed any from last year?
No. We did change the name of one of our institutes to Community Food and Environment rather than the Greening Michigan Institute. So it's really, the content of the institute, it remains the same.
Any other questions for Aaron?
Aaron, have you guys engaged or talked to anybody from the Blue Zones group yet?
Absolutely. We have our community food systems educator who's based up in Kent County and I'm serving on the steering committee, so we have 2 of us actively engaged. We also just hired a community nutrition instructor. I introduced her, I believe, a couple months ago. And once she gets a little bit more comfortable in her position, we will ask her to also engage with that committee.
Just seems like a natural fit for you guys to work together on some of this, since you guys are a voice in the community as well, leading with some research stuff. That'll be a great opportunity to work together, so
Absolutely.
awesome.
Anything else for Aaron? Thank you, ma'am. There being no further discussion, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the 2020 agreement between Berry County and Michigan State University for access to MSU Extension Program. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The item is approved. The next item on our agenda is Jan Otto. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the fiscal year 2020 juvenile mental health court planning grant and authorize the Berry County Trial Court Administrator, Inez Straub, to electronically sign the grant contracts on behalf of the county.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Jackson, second by Parker. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So this year, we applied to scale for a planning grant for a juvenile mental health court, or to evaluate the need for a juvenile mental health court. We are seeing an increase of the number of kids coming into the court system that have experienced trauma and are in need of services a little bit beyond a traditional juvenile probation. So we've applied for this grant to evaluate to see if there is a need and what would a program look like if we were able to put one together.
Any questions for Jan? I think our grants from the courts are usually pretty stringent, at least at the state level, so they jump through a lot of hoops to fill out that paperwork. There being no further discussion, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the fiscal year 2020 juvenile mental health court planning grant and to authorize the Berry County Trial Court Administrator, Inez Straub, to electronically sign the grant contracts on behalf of the county. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The item is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. David Shinevere. Question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to sell via sealed bid to the highest bidder a surplus 2009 Chevy Tahoe, VIN number 1GNEC0300-9R231182, and a 2008 Chevy Tahoe, VIN number 1GNE03008R263208.
Support.
Second.
Support by Gibson, second by Parker. The floor is yours.
Really have, it's kind of self-explanatory.
Yep.
I don't have any comment.
Any questions?
If
These
you have any
are
questions, I mean,
Sheriff's Department.
Vehicles out at the sheriff's department?
Yes,
Can
they
be
are.
seen? Okay.
we usually park them up on that hill once they get listed so people can,
How many miles are in those things?
It's right there, isn't it?
it's on the, if you scroll
bunch.
up.
Less than what's on my
On the
car.
bottom,
Yeah, there you go.
193.
One ninety-three and
okay.
168.
But neither one are four-wheel drive, right?
That's correct.
60,000 less than on one of my vehicles, and then 100,000 less almost on the other. I drive to Hastings a lot. Any other questions for David? Hearing none, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to sell via sealed bid to the highest bidder surplus 2009 Chevy Tahoe VIN number 1GNEC 03009 R231182 and 2008 Chevy Tahoe VIN number 1GNEC 03008 R263208. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The item is approved. Do we need to take a little break?
Yes.
Alrighty, back in 5. It is 9:20,
5.
27, so.